Start out
Starting
with a cough.
strong with a cough.
I wasn't ready.
One.
Yeah, it will be.
So everyone, I'm hungover as fuck.
And you know why? Because it was her birthday.
Yeah. And I had a birthday party and everyone wore wigs and it was very fun. I think like 40 people or something crazy showed up, which I was like,
That's
wow.
so nice.
The owner was like, why do you have so many friends? I don't know, honestly.
I'm not surprised at all.
But oh, thank you. But yeah, so if I sound a little bit like death warmed up in the microwave, it's because I am.
Mm-hmm. Do you smell like that too?
I probably smell like tequila. Yeah. I'm just some fragments of the night are coming back to me. I literally bought a bottle of tequila at the bar. Why?
Bottle service.
For just to carry around and pour shots. It was just pouring shots. It's like,
well, that's fun. I mean, throwback to college days.
We were like, can we just get soda water? And then we're just fucking pouring tequila. Like, oh my God, why am I like this? That's what pushed me over the edge for sure. Because I had already had a lot to drink. I was drinking rum and cokes.
Oh,
like, okay, hangover central. I had one at dinner the other night, and I was like, damn, like I love a rum and coke.
Yeah,
and yeah, I was like, shit, that's fresh. Yeah, anyway, so if I sound like a garbage can, it's because I'm still a piece of garbage. Just temporarily. But welcome back to Girls Gone Spooky. Yay. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy. And what are we talking about today?
We're talking about local legends. And I think U.S. only? Did you do any international guys?
I looked at some, but I didn't include them.
I didn't either. So local legends, U.S. edition.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of content. At least I do. I've got a lot of content.
Yes. I have quite a bit.
And I think you go first, Amy. But before that, it's 11 days till Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wow. Not on the day we're recording, but on the day that this will be released.
Yeah.
11 days.
I don't know what I'm doing or dressing as or anything.
I don't either. One of my girlfriends just messaged me and was like, talk to me about Halloween. And I was like, girl, first of all, if you think I'm in a state to plan right now, you've got another thing coming. Second of all, I don't know. Actively don't know. I have costumes. I got my nails done to be Catwoman.
Oh, cute.
They're like long and kind of pointy. Thank you. I had to make them pointy. And then, and look how long they are.
They are long.
My nails are never long. I know. Yeah. Thank you. It's my nail girl, honestly. Thank you. Well, it's because she put about 10 layers of gel on here. But, she literally like tests them to see if they'll bend, like as she's putting the layers, and she's like, one more.
Yeah.
Thanks, girl.
Okay,
Clara. Yeah. She gets me and my weak nail game. Yeah. Anywho, we're getting close to Halloween, so figure out your fucking costumes.
And then send them to us, because I want to see.
Oh my God, yeah. Wait, if you post on Instagram your Halloween costume, please tag us. Girls Gone Spooky is the handle. We will repost the shit out of that. We want to see. Yeah. So,
or dress like us.
Except
no one knows what we look like.
No one knows what we look like. I guess there's the one photo of us. Actually, no, there's the photo of me in that gigantic zip-up hoodie in Forever.
Oh, yeah. But no face in that one.
No.
So.
Yeah, it's either face or body. You don't get both.
Right.
So I have brown hair and blue eyes, and I'm very pale. And Amy
blondish, greenish eyes.
Yeah. Not as pale.
Like a teapot.
You did not just describe yourself as short and stout.
That's the first thing that came to mind. How sad is that?
I've got blonde hair, kind of green eyes, short and stout. It has nothing to do with the content today, but I think that has to be the episode title.
Oh
Oh,
man.
I have chills. It's a combo of hangover and laughing so hard.
Oh, it's kind of depressing. That's the first thing that I thought of how to
Oh my
describe myself.
god.
I guess
I'm like
that's my
weed
costume
laughing.
now. A little teapot. A
Little
little teapot,
teapot.
short and stout.
You could be a little teapot. You'd have to make yourself stout though. You're not stout. Your stature
Oh,
is small. Yeah, I guess you're
mm,
short.
yeah,
What is short? Like what is the cutoff? 5'3",
yeah.
5'4"?
5'4",
Because I'm
probably.
because I'm 5'5", and people are like, "You're so tall," and I'm like, "What?
Really?
No, I'm
What?
not." And then I'm 5'5", and they're like, "There's no way. You've got to be at least 5'8". I'm like,
What?
"Okay, well, I'm not lying." Like,
Are these guys who are like, I'm 6'1", but they're actually 5'10"?
right? No, it's like
So their gauge is just way off.
way off. No, I don't. It's like it's women too. Women are like, "Oh,
Hmm,
like you're tall," and I'm like, "I'm really not." And then
interesting.
it was funny because I was in the office and I was wearing. Usually, I wear these like really chunky platform like combat boots,
Mhm.
and because fucking of course I do, but
Okay.
I came in my Blundstones, like my
Mhm.
like snow
Cute.
rain boots,
Yeah.
because it was raining that day, and I came in and I stood up to hug my coworker who was in the office, and he was like, "What the fuck? I feel so powerful. You're so short."
Sure.
I was like, "This is my normal height," and he
Yeah.
was like, "Wow, I love this power dynamic." I was like, "Okay."
Okay, interesting.
So fucking
That's so
funny.
funny. Yeah,
So confirmed that I'm intimidating, I guess, at full
yeah,
height.
and with combat boots,
But yeah, it's probably the
not
combat
to
boots.
be messed with.
Not to be messed with. I'll kick you in the face.
Oh man.
Oh
Well,
shit.
shall we get
Let's dive
going?
in.
Okay. So
Just
I
chatting shit for
this
10
could just
minutes.
be the whole episode. Let's just keep
Literally.
talking. See what else comes
I
out.
love it. Short and stout, dude.
It's going on my tombstone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
It's
Keep going.
okay. Laughing so
Oh
hard is
fuck.
gonna give me an asthma attack. Oh.
And I might projectile
Yeah.
vomit. So
We're in
here
a
we
good
go.
place. Yep. Okay. So
God.
when I knew that we were talking about urban legends, I wanted to think of ones that I knew, like
Oh
from
yeah.
growing up, before looking at
Mhm.
any others. So hopefully these aren't on your list
I
because
have so many, even if they
okay.
are.
Okay, cool. Because these are, I don't think they're specific to Colorado or where I grew up. But maybe you know the same ones. I just thought
Mm.
it was interesting to see what was in the recesses of my mind. And
The
the
recesses of my
first
mind.
one is the one about the guy with the hook hand. Did you have
Oh
that
yeah.
one?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't. I didn't. But yeah.
Did you know that one when you were younger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me think of what was that? What was that like villain on SpongeBob that was like the spatula? Hold
Oh,
on. Smashing meats. Hold
yeah.
on.
I don't Smash Meat. I don't remember.
SpongeBob villain with spatula hand. Hash slinging slasher. He's literally just like this like dark hunched guy with the fucking spatula for a hand.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep.
And it turns out it's just like a little guy with like a spatula in his hand, but his sleeve is covering his hand. The hash
Amazing.
slinging
Yep.
slasher.
That is similar to this guy,
Oh,
except
oh god.
I guess he's not a chef, but Um,
He's not
this
slinging
one,
hash.
no, this one I looked up like the official version because I'm sure there are many. But just to summarize it, it's this guy who's a homicidal man escapes
Good.
from a mental hospital, and he's missing a hand, so he wears a hook instead of where his hand should be.
Interesting prosthetic choice, but okay.
Yes, and
I'm
especially for
tracking.
someone who's homicidal, you should probably take that away from him. But anyway, he escapes. It's all over the news, and they are like, "This man has a hook hand. You got to watch out." But this couple decides to go out anyway to see a movie. But for whatever reason, they pull over on the side of the road. I always heard it was like a lover's lane situation.
Yeah, me
They
too.
were making out. And then
Yeah.
they hear scratching along like the back of the car over to the rear passenger sides, just this little slow scratch. And then they get freaked out, so they leave. And when they get to the movie theater and get out of the car, the hook is stuck in the door handle. And then
Yeah.
when I was recounting that to Dave earlier, he was like, so now he's just a disabled old man in the forest. He needs help. And that used to be so scary, but now it's like, that's all I can think of.
He needs help.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Classic. So
Oh shit, that's funny.
there's a new spin on a classic. It won't
Right.
scare you anymore now that you think about it.
Wait, so now he's just a disabled old man in the forest.
Which is true. If he doesn't have his hook hand, who is he?
Or a weapon. Like there's no weapon.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh god.
yeah. But then the other one that I remember vividly freaking me out is the clown statue. Did you
What?
know that one?
No.
Okay.
Lay it
So
on me.
this one was about a babysitter, and there's probably, again, a lot of versions of this, but
oh god. I can already see where this is
going. She was babysitting, and she put the kids to bed and went downstairs to watch TV until the parents came home. And she sits down on the couch, and she sees this clown statue, life size, in the corner by the TV. And it looks like a statue, perfectly still, but she's like, that is the scariest thing I've ever seen. She gets really uneasy. Eventually, the phone rings, and it's the dad of the kids calling to check on everyone. And she says, yeah, everyone's fine. They're asleep, but this clown statue you have is really freaking me out. Do you mind if I cover it with a sheet? And he says, what clown statue? And then we just know that it's like this murderous person that's going to kill
him. And a clown. That's very John Gacy.
Yes, very.
That is very John Gacy of you and very uncool.
Extremely uncool.
Extremely uncool.
So, yeah, that was one. Of course, there's the one with the girl, the calls coming from inside the house.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of when you said babysitter.
And then the one where the dog licks her hand. Did you have that one too? That one is so disturbing. So, yeah, those were the ones that I remembered, but there are so many. So let's move on. Okay, so I just picked out a few that I thought were interesting. Two particularly have to do with witches, so that's why I went for those. But these are real brief. So this is from Connecticut, and she's known as the Wicked Witch of Monroe. Her name was Hannah Cranna, and she gained a reputation as a witch. I know, Hannah Cranna.
Really? You had to name her Hannah?
Mm-hmm. You could have picked anything else.
anything else.
Yeah. So she gained her reputation as a witch in the 19th century when her husband died by mysteriously falling off a cliff, and locals, yeah,
Mysterious.
quote unquote. Um, Locals reportedly believed that she had bewitched him. People
Mm,
also believed that she would cast spells on people she didn't like. Hannah lived to the age of 77, but right before she
mhm.
died, she asked to be carried down to the cemetery in her coffin by foot, not wagon. So after her death, the people of Monroe tried to wheel her coffin down the hill, but were unable to because the coffin kept falling off. So they were forced to carry
God.
it. So, for whatever reason, she wanted to be carried, not put on the wagon. They tried to put her on
Mm,
the wagon anyway, and she kept falling off.
mm.
When the townspeople returned to her home, it was found to be engulfed in flames, sealing Hannah's reputation of witchcraft. And I don't know if she
Whoa.
appears anymore, but now you can visit her real grave in Trumbull, Connecticut. I don't know where that is, but
Whoa.
witchy.
Very witchy.
Yes. And then this other witchy one is from Maine, and it's the tomb of Colonel Jonathan Buck in Bucksport, Maine, bears a mysterious leg shaped stain. And I saw pictures of this, and it really is in the shape of a leg. Um,
Mm,
so the story goes that Buck sentenced a woman to burn for witchcraft, and while
mm.
she was burning, her leg rolled out of the fire. So
Ew.
he was the one who sentenced her. So it's said that now she cursed him, and that's why this stain of the leg appears on his grave still.
Oh, that's so
It's,
gross.
yeah, and people have tried to get rid of the stain, but it keeps reappearing. So it's a little
Wow.
strange. Yep. And then on to, okay, now these next two are ones I'm familiar with or have
Mhm.
seen myself. So this one's in Minnesota, which is where Dave, my boyfriend, is from.
Mhm.
And in his town, they have a rune stone that
Mhm.
they say came from Vikings. And they try to say that it's evidence that the Vikings made it to the New World before Columbus did.
Because
But
also, fuck that guy.
yeah, exactly. But that's kind of the urban legend because official historians say that this rock, the dating doesn't match. It's
Yeah.
just a myth. But you can go see it in a museum, and it's really cool looking because either way, it was found on this man's farm in 1898, and it's just
Whoa.
this giant rock with like Norse writing on it.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, either way, it's some sort of historic relic,
Yeah.
unless he made it himself.
Mhm.
But who knows? So that is a cool one. And yeah, I visited the museum. It's very interesting.
Mm.
Okay, then lastly, have you heard all the legends surrounding the Denver airport?
Mm. Oh, yeah. I think you may have told me before.
Yeah, okay. I
This
wanted
is
to
a
get
good
into
one.
these. Yeah, because it's so
Yeah.
bizarre, and I don't really know how it came about. Especially because the current airport wasn't built till 1994.
Mm.
So even when I was little, there was a different airport. So it's not like
Yeah.
this is a historic building, really. So,
Right.
um, but anyway, the legends surrounding the airport say that it is linked to the New World Order, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons. And the
Oh.
Freemasons, it makes sense because they did help to lay some of the stones during the building of the airport.
Hmm.
But beneath one of the stones, they left a time capsule that's not to be opened until 2094. And the capstone that marks where the capsule is has like the seal of the Freemasons on it. And it also mentions a group called the New World Airport Commission, which does not actually exist. So they don't know why that was put
Interesting.
on there. Yeah. And of course, that New World thing is why people
Right.
draw the comparison between those two.
Yeah.
Um, and also above the capstone that marks this area, the same inscription is written in Braille, but people say that it's actually a keypad. So if you
Oh my god.
push them in the right order, it's going to open up the capsule and or
Interesting.
the tunnels that are under the airport, which we'll talk about
Oh.
next. And one airport employee that was interviewed for this article, she said that she's heard stories of people coming in with their Masonic membership cards and trying to swipe them along the capstone just
Oh
in
my god.
case it might open something.
Oh my
So
god. How cool.
interesting. Yeah. And then, yeah, I mentioned those tunnels. So some people say that there are up to 100 miles of tunnels underneath the airport, which this is where the members of the New World Order would come to hide and ride out the coming apocalypse. And they say 100 miles of tunnels because it's said to extend all the way down to NORAD, which is in Colorado Springs, which is I don't know what it stands for, but it's like the aerospace
Yeah.
security place. Yeah. So then other theories of what's in the tunnels is a colony of lizard people.
Stop.
Yeah. I don't know why. And some also say, and this actually, this one came about, not the lizard people, but some people also say there's evil doppelgangers down there waiting for
Jesus.
the opportune moment to surface and take over everything.
I mean, an airport would be a good place to do that.
It would be.
Really
It's
fuck up your
true.
life.
Yeah, that is true. But that didn't come about till recently after, I think it said Jordan Peele made either a short film or something kind of along those same lines, and then people
Yeah,
just
it's called
started.
Us.
Yeah, exactly. So people started to put that with the Denver airport for whatever reason, just because it's an easy target.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it goes on. So there's a mining cart carved into the tile of the Great Hall. I don't know what that is referring to. And it's marked with the letters AU and AG, which are the symbols for gold and silver. But people say that it's actually an abbreviation for Australian antigen, which is a deadly chemical weapon that the Illuminati will use to secure power over everyone.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Uh-huh. They say the coordinates for the location of the airport were given to its architects by space aliens. Strange markings on the walls and buildings are codes from members of secret societies or snippets of an unknown extraterrestrial language. The language is actually Navajo.
Oh,
So that's
embarrassing.
debunked. Yep.
Yeah.
But then also along with this apocalyptic theme, the airport has some really strange art out on display. One shows a man wearing a gas mask, wielding both a sword and a gun, surrounded
Why?
by I don't know.
At an airport?
Yeah, and I have seen these. Like I can picture these in my mind, and they're really weird. It's like why
Yeah.
why is this here? Because he has his sword and his gun, and around him are children dressed in beautiful, colorful clothes, and they're surrounded by guns. So
What?
I
What?
I don't really get the
So,
message,
yeah.
but yeah. Then there's another one. I think it's the same artist, and it shows children in the foreground that are mourning these three women who are being buried, and in the background it shows all these like dead animals and a
Oh my
forest
god, these are
burning.
so bleak.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of get why people are like this. Why? Why is this here?
Literally,
Does
why?
this mean something? And the other thing is that at baggage claim specifically, they have gargoyles around. And it's like why? Which I think
If I ever
gargoyle,
build a house, I'm putting gargoyles on it,
yeah,
100%, and painting it all black,
uh-huh,
so everyone thinks I'm a witch.
perfect. I love it. I
No
think,
Jehovah's Witness knocking on my door.
yeah, no way.
Mm-mm.
Was gargoyles, I think, initially or historically were for protection or something.
Yeah.
But I think now they've become like harbingers of evil or something.
Yeah.
People have given them a different reputation. So
Mhm.
that's why people are suspicious of why those are around. And it's funny now because the airport has embraced this reputation. Like there's the informational signs have lizard people on them, like pointing baggage claim this
Mhm.
way. And then they have fake gargoyles now that talk and scare you, which happened to me because they're
Of course it
motion
did.
activated. And I
Oh
was
god.
there waiting for a shuttle, and it was probably like 7 in the morning. And I was just leaning there, and
Oh
it
my
suddenly was,
god.
like, can't you see I'm sitting here in like a thick accent? And I was like, what was that? It scared me so bad. So kind of funny.
Can't you see I'm sitting here? Oh my
Yeah.
god. All I can
So
think of
dumb.
is it The Hunchback of Notre Dame with don't aren't there talking gargoyles in that
In the
on the
Hunchback.
church?
Yeah, I think there are.
I think there are gargoyle characters. I keep thinking
Yes.
of that. I haven't seen that movie in
Me either.
20 years.
Yeah, I haven't either. That's a good one. That's
Quasimodo.
yeah.
Big Quasimodo energy.
That also just reminded me when you said that of Young Frankenstein
Oh my god.
with Igor, whatever, he looks like a
Igor.
gargoyle.
Literally.
I love that movie. Okay,
So good.
then the final thing, you can't not mention the giant blue
Yeah.
horse at the airport.
Mhm.
So they have given it the nickname Blucifer because it's a giant blue Mustang statue with these glowing red eyes. It's right outside the entrance to the airport,
Can't
and
miss it.
it's another thing that's like, why is this here? But
Mhm.
um, he got his bad reputation because when he was being constructed, a piece of the statue fell onto the artist, who was named Luis Jimenez, and it severed an artery in his leg, which unfortunately killed him. So his children finished the statue for him, and it's displayed at DIA, of course. But some people say that Lucifer is cursed because of what he did to the
Lucifer.
artist. And some people even say that he's a depiction of one of the horses that will be ridden by the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So
Jesus. It's a lot of doom and
just
gloom at DIA.
yeah, just general apocalyptic themes in
Oh
all of
my
those
god.
legends.
They're
So
like chemical warfare, lots of guns, lots of
yeah.
death, deforestation, and dead
Uh-huh.
animals. Like,
Yep.
oh, good.
Yep.
This is great.
And only a select few get to hide in the tunnels below.
The Illuminati.
Yeah, and you may encounter lizard people and
And
or
your
your
evil
doppelganger.
doppelganger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That is so
what do you
fucking funny. Oh
choose?
my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Mark Zuckerberg at the helm of all the lizard people, since
Oh
he's the
right.
lizard king,
That's exactly
according
right.
to according to Reddit.
Yeah. So
So funny.
I don't know, that one, the whole Denver airport thing might border conspiracy theory,
Yeah,
urban
but
legend. I don't know
still
where the
weird.
line is drawn, but yeah.
Conspiracy theories could be a good I mean, we've already kind of done like Bigfoot and stuff, but that'd be a good topic too, because there are
Yeah.
a lot of like really weird ones.
Yeah. Let's do that next. I was thinking that
Yeah,
when I was reading
that's
these.
fun.
Yeah.
I'll add it to our list.
Cool. Well, yeah, that was all I picked out today. Cause
Do you want to tell the dog licking thing? Because I was just thinking, like, if people haven't heard it, they're probably gonna be
ew.
like, "Wait, I want to hear what that was."
Okay. Yeah. That one, the way I heard it was that it was an older woman, I think, who lived alone, and she had a dog who was her best friend, and he made her feel comfortable and safe being alone. But one night she was having these really bad feelings, and so she reached her hand down from her bed to touch her dog, who was always sleeping beside her, and he licked her hand. And she said, "Oh, okay, it's fine now." She tried to go back to sleep, felt really weird, did the same thing, licked the hand again. She finally fell asleep. But then woke up in the morning to find that her dog was dead. And written in blood on the mirror, it said, "Humans can lick too." I
Ugh.
hate that one. I hate that one.
So gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard a similar version, except it was like a young woman living alone, and what woke her up was a dripping sound.
Ew.
And it was the dog's blood dripping in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, same thing. But she never fell back asleep. She went and
And checked.
looked. Yeah,
Yeah, I hate that one.
I know.
Just not good.
Humans can lick. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah. Ew.
gross.
I would be
Someone licking your hands.
no.
Like, no.
No. And
Nasty.
yeah. Would they be hiding there still? Like I would never be
But
able to go home or
that's what
sleep
scared
again.
me about it, was that because like in the version that I heard, she didn't go back to sleep. So she got up eventually because she was like, "Where is that dripping sound coming from?" And sees the dog and sees the message,
Mm-hmm.
which means that they would have killed the dog, written it, and then gotten under her bed or whatever, and
Yeah.
then feasibly was still there.
Yeah. Ew.
Because it had just been licking her. So,
Right.
oh! I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
for sure you're gonna die.
Yeah.
There was another one I heard, and this one's just more of like a scary story, but I can't remember the details of it. I wonder if I think Lauren may have told us this one in university, but it's about like roommates in a dorm,
Hmm.
and one comes in really late at night and the other one's already asleep, and she
Mm-hmm.
can hear her like wheezing, and she's like, oh,
Oh.
she's like sick or something, and so she goes to bed, and in the morning she wakes up and the roommate is like, her throat is
Throat.
like slashed,
Yeah.
and
I
it
remember that
says
one.
something is written in blood on the wall, and I can't remember what it was like.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah, I
either.
don't remember how that one, like what the climax of that one was, but so creepy, all those
Yeah.
stories. And it's like, do those stem from something like humans can lick too? That's very clearly made up. But
Yeah.
like, and probably the clown statue too. That sounds like a scary movie plot, but like,
Sorry, I just remembered.
what?
It's "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" is what was written. Oh, I hate that so
Oh,
much.
oh, that gave me
Yeah,
chills.
me too.
Oh my
Mm-mm.
God. Aren't you glad you? So that, yeah, they were still in there then.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
my God. Oh my God.
That is so scary. But
Holy.
yeah, when I was reading these and trying to figure out if what I was looking at were actually urban legends, the
Yeah.
technical definition of an urban legend was something like a scary story that people present as being true and
Uh,
often being a story of someone they knew. So it's like, yeah, this happened
oh,
to
this
my
happened
my
to my
roommate or
cousin's
yeah,
friend or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Spooky.
okay. Spooky. My turn.
Yes, your turn.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with one that I just like generally wanted to look into, which is the Bell Witch, which is very interesting. So this dates back to the 19th century. So there was a family, their last name is Bell, um, n- northwest of Robertson County, Tennessee. Um, and this is considered to be folklore from the southern US. So it's some of it definitely happened, and the rest is legend and not confirmed. So, according to the legend, from 1817 to 1821, his family in the local area came under attack by a mostly invisible entity that was able to speak, affect the physical environment, and shapeshift. Some accounts record the spirit, or whatever it was, also to have been clairvoyant and capable of crossing long distances with superhuman speed, and or of being in more than one place at a time. More than one place at a time.
Hmm.
So, in 1894, a newspaper editor named Martin V. Ingram published The Authenticated History of the Bell Witch. And the book is widely regarded as the first full length record of the legend and is a primary source for movies and adaptations that have been made about the Bell Witch haunting. And the individuals recorded in this book were known historical personalities. So there's some of it is truly historical, and yeah, like I said, the rest is we probably will never know.
Mm-hmm.
Some in modern days, some skeptics have regarded Ingram's efforts as a work of historical fiction or even fraud. Others consider it to be a folklore study, an accurate reflection of belief in that region during the 19th century. So a lot of it think like witch trials, like invisible forces, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not this piece is not a fundamental element of the original recorded legend, but the Bell Witch Cave in the 20th century became a source of continuing interest, belief, and new generation of lore. Um, it also gets included in films. It's referenced in music, things like that. And it's a karst cave, which I don't know what that is. Karst, located in Adams, Tennessee, near where the Bell Farm once stood. And there are tours. It's privately owned, and there are
Oh, wow.
tours done during
Cool.
the summer months and in, of course, October.
Yeah. Cool.
So there's a ton of like there's a whole book written about this, right? So there's so much information, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to give you like the synopsis.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is stemming from Ingram's book, so keep that in mind. So Ingram published that the poltergeist, that's what he's referring to it as, that the poltergeist's name was Kate, after the entity claimed at one point to be old Kate Batts' witch. So and
Interesting.
bats is in like possessive, like apostrophe S.
Oh,
So yeah.
okay.
But the poltergeist began responding to the name Kate. So
Hmm.
therefore that became its name.
Okay.
The physical activity centered on the Bell's youngest daughter, whose name is Betsy, and her father. And Kate expressed particular displeasure when Betsy became engaged to a local named Joshua Gardner.
Hmm.
The haunting began sometime in 1817 when John Bell witnessed the apparition of a strange creature resembling a dog. Bell fired at the animal, but it disappeared. John's son Drew Bell approached an unknown bird perched on a fence that flew off and was of extraordinary size, which in my
Hmm.
mind, I'm like, it's probably a raven
Yeah.
because those things are
Yeah, they
huge.
are.
The daughter Betsy observed a girl in a green dress swinging from the limb of an oak tree. Dean, a person enslaved by the Bell family, which like ew,
Mm-hmm.
reported being followed by a large black dog on evenings he visited his wife. Activity moved to the Bell household with knocking heard along the doors and walls. The family heard sounds of gnawing on the beds,
Oh.
dogs fighting when there weren't any dogs around, and chains being dragged on the floor.
Hmm.
About this time, John Bell began experiencing paralysis in his mouth. The phenomena
Well.
grew in intensity as sheets were pulled from beds when the children slept. Blech.
Mm-mm.
Soon the entity started pulling hair and scratched the children, with particular emphasis on Betsy, who was slapped, pinched, and stuck with pins.
Poor Betsy.
I know,
That's
little
awful.
Betsy. So the Bells turned to a family friend named James Johnston for help. So after retiring for the evening at the Bell home, Johnston was awakened that night by the same phenomena. So they were like, hey, come check this shit out. That morning, he told John Bell it was a spirit just like the Bible. And that's in quotes. Soon word of the haunting spread, with some traveling great distances to see the witch spirit, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
The apparition began to speak out loud and was asked, "Who are you and what do you want?" And the voice answered feebly, "I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but have been disturbed." The spirit offered diverse explanations of why it appeared, tying its origin to the disturbance of a Native American burial mound located on the property. Yeah, and sent Drew Bell and Bennett Porter on an unproductive search for buried treasure. Idiots.
Uh-huh.
With the emergence of full conversations, the spirit repeated word for word 2 sermons given 13 miles apart at the same time.
Whoa. Weird.
Yeah. The entity was well acquainted with biblical texts and appeared to enjoy religious arguments. As another amusement, the witch shared gossip about activities in other households and at times appeared to leave for brief moments to visit homes after an inquiry. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So John Johnston, who is one of James Johnston's sons, devised a test for the witch, something that no one outside his family would know, asking the entity what his Dutch step-grandmother in North Carolina would say to the slaves if she thought they did something wrong. The witch replied with his grandmother's accent, "Hut tut, what has happened now?"
Whoa.
In another account, an Englishman stopped to visit and offered to investigate. On remarking on his family overseas, the witch suddenly began to mimic his English parents.
How bizarre.
I know. Again, in the early morning, the witch woke him to voices of his parents, worried as they had heard his voice as well. So like the witch was like haunting him and his parents,
Right.
an ocean away.
Yeah. Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, super weird. The Englishman quickly left that morning and later wrote to the Bell family that the entity had visited his family in England and that he apologized for his skepticism. At times, the spirit actually would display some kindness, especially towards Lucy, John Bell's wife. Sounds like she's got a thing for these ladies.
Interesting.
She called John Bell's wife Lucy the most perfect woman to walk the earth. Like, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, the witch would give Lucy fresh fruit and sing hymns to her and showed John Bell Jr. a measure of respect. Referring to John Bell Jr. as Old Jack, the witch claimed she intended to kill him and signaled this intention through curses, threats, and afflictions. The story climaxes with the Bell patriarch being poisoned by the witch. Afterward, the entity interrupted the mourners by singing drinking songs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In 1821, as a result of the witches in treatment, Betsy Bell called off her engagement to Joshua Gardner. Subsequently, the entity told the family it was going to leave, but return in 7 years in 1828. The witch returned on time to Lucy and her sons Richard and Joel with similar activities as before, but they chose not to encourage or engage with it, and the witch seemed to leave again. Super weird.
Yeah.
Super weird. There are actually several accounts that say too that during his military career, Andrew Jackson was actually really interested in the story. And I think he and some of his men went to go visit it, and they like fled because they were so freaked out by the whole thing. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, really weird.
Where is this again?
This was in Tennessee, Robertson County, it's called.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, the Bell Witch Haunting.
Creepy.
So that's that.
I wonder what she had against
weird.
Betsy in particular.
I don't know. Maybe she was a little shit.
Yeah, maybe.
She was like, "You're a brat. I'm gonna stick you with pins."
Yeah.
Which is like a really harsh punishment, but
Ouch.
ouch. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into some other states. I actually think I come back to, do I come back to Tennessee? Yeah, I'll come back to Tennessee at one point.
Okay.
So this one's in Nebraska. There are a couple here actually. So Centennial Hall is the first. It's a 2-story brick building with 12 rooms, and it was used as a school for primary and secondary students of Cherry County School District. The building was designed by Charles F. Bindoff in 1897, built in 98. It's the oldest standing building in Valentine, Nebraska, which, like, what an adorable name for a town.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was once a school. It now belongs to the National Registry of Historic Places, and it was actually opened as a museum in 1978, so almost 100 years later, about 80 years later. Centennial Hall is a heritage museum that displays outstanding personal collections, including, for example, the Halleck Bells collection, which I'm not familiar with, but I'm sure it's historically meaningful. It houses exhibits in each of its 12 rooms. So the haunting piece is in the mid 1940s, a girl who was attending the school at the time, this is wild, was poisoned via clarinet reed and suffered a
Whoa.
heart attack, according to reports, and died. And this is like in the
Wow.
records, like her
Yeah.
death is reported because it wasn't that long ago, it was the 1940s. Since then, there have been numerous reports of cold spots and strange noises, such as the sound of a clarinet playing, and a generally very eerie feeling in Centennial Hall.
Wow.
Yeah,
Creepy.
reports of a visual manifestation of an apparition along with a rocking chair that was observed to be rocking when no one was in the chair. Like, just a lot of weird, creepy crap happening. But
Yeah.
also, like, who poisoned her? Like, was
Yeah.
it an accident or
Right.
I have questions.
Yeah, same.
So
That's
that's
bizarre.
Centennial Hall.
Hmm.
Um, Also in Nebraska, there is also a museum called Captain Bailey House, also on the National Register of Historic Places, and also a brick building. And it's historic actually for that reason, because it was manufactured in one of 3 brick factories in early Brownville, Nebraska. It originally stood near the Missouri River, and when the river began to change its course and endanger the house, it was disassembled in 1877 and moved brick by brick to its
Wow.
present location on Main Street, which is just wild.
Yeah.
So Captain Bailey was, who it's named after, was a Civil War captain who lived in the house for many years. A local resident relates a story that purports that doors in the house will not stay closed, allegedly because it's haunted by the ghost of Captain and Mrs. Bailey, who were both, it is said, poisoned by a jealous neighbor. Lots of poisoning in
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Wow.
Weird. Um, so it's filled with artifacts today as a museum from Brownville's glory days, as they call it. And people just experience really weird crap there, but especially the doors. That's like
Yeah.
the thing that always
Interesting.
comes up. So that's Nebraska. So Nevada, you can see we're going in alphabetical order here. I'm just going to touch on this one briefly because we've dedicated an entire episode to this before, but of course, Area 51.
Yeah.
Mysterious government facility that is rumored to be associated with aliens. The U.S. government officially states that Area 51 is classified due to national security, which only fuels the fire, because the secrecy surrounding Area 51 is what makes it inherently creepy and interesting. And the government has admitted to a program investigating UFOs, or whatever they're called now. UF, UAF?
I
No,
don't
that's
remember. UAP or wait.
yeah, something like that.
Who knows?
Who knows? The theories about what's going on inside continue to seem more and more plausible, especially with the government confirming that they've been researching UFOs.
Yeah. Ooh, spooky.
Spooky. So the next is New Hampshire. So Eunice Goody Cole was the only woman in New Hampshire history to be tried for witchcraft multiple times. Her first charge was in 1656. Like, wow, long time ago.
Yeah.
She was charged again in 1671. This is weird. When she died and her body was recovered, the townspeople were rumored to have staked her in the heart to prevent
Hmm.
her from haunting their town. And people continue to blame Goody Cole for the misfortunes of Hampton citizens for the past 300 years. And at first I was like, well, that's so dumb. Like, bad shit happens at every time. But this is actually like pretty gnarly. For
Hmm.
example, a boat full of Hampton residents overturned and everyone on board drowned.
Whoa.
Everyone.
Yikes.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Even though they were in swimming distance of the shore. So, like,
Yes,
what?
something's weird there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
People also blame Goody Cole for the crash and for cursing the passengers by having them forget how to swim. So that's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
theory.
Hmm.
So that's New Hampshire and Goody Cole. This one is the one that I was like really excited to cover, and it
Okay.
is from New Jersey. It
Hmm.
is the Jersey Devil.
Yes.
So legend has it that in 1735, a Pines resident known as Mother Leeds found herself pregnant for the 13th time, which
Can't
like
imagine.
tracks for that era, but also
Hmm.
like yikes.
Yeah.
And Leeds is actually the name of one of New Jersey's earliest settlers, and many descendants of the Leeds family can still be found throughout New Jersey to this day. So
Yeah.
there is a component of history in this.
Truth. Yeah.
So Mother Leeds was not living a wealthy lifestyle by any means. Her husband was a drunk who made few efforts to provide for his wife and 12 children, and reaching the point of absolute desperation upon learning of her 13th child, she raised her hands to the heavens and proclaimed, "Let this one be a devil." Bad
Risky.
call, sis. Yeah,
Yeah.
a risky thing. So
Hmm.
Mother Leeds went into labor a few months later on a tumultuously stormy night, no longer mindful of the curse she had uttered previously regarding her unborn child. Her children and husband huddled together in one room of their Leeds Point home, while local midwives gathered to deliver the baby in another. By all accounts, the birth went routinely, and the 13th Leeds child was a seemingly normal baby boy. Within minutes, however, Mother Leeds' unholy wish of months before began to come to fruition. The baby started to change and metamorphose right before her eyes. Within moments, it transformed from a beautiful newborn baby into a hideous creature unlike anything the world had ever seen. The wailing infant began growing at an incredible rate. It sprouted horns from the top of its head, and talon like claws tore through the tips of its fingers. Leathery bat like wings unfurled from its back, and hair and feathers sprouted all over the child's body. Its eyes began glowing bright red as they grew larger in the monster's gnarled and snarling face. The creature savagely attacked its own mother, killing her, then turned its attention to the rest of the horrified onlookers who witnessed its tempestuous transformation. Wow.
Ta-ta-ta.
Tempestuous transformation. It flew at them, clawing and biting, voicing unearthly shrieks the entire time. It tore the midlife. It
You got
tore the
this.
midwives limb from limb,
Oh
maiming
God.
some and killing others. Yeah. The monster then knocked down the door to the next room where its own father and siblings cowered in fear and attacked them all, killing as many as it could. Those who survived to tell the tale then watched in horror as the rotten beast sprinted to the chimney and flew up it, destroying it on the way and leaving a pile of rubble in its wake. The creature then made good its escape into the darkness and desolation of the Pine Barrens, where it has lived ever since. To this day, the creature known varyingly as the Leeds Devil and the Jersey Devil claims the pines as its own and terrorizes any who are unfortunate enough to encounter it. So in the 18th and 19th centuries, Jersey Devil was spotted sporadically through the Pine Barrens region, frightening local residents and any of those brave enough to traverse the vast, undeveloped expanses of New Jersey's southern reaches. Unearthly wails were often reported emanating from dark forests and swampy bogs, and the slaughter of domesticated animals would invariably be attributed to the Phantom of the Pines. Over the years, the legend of the Leeds Devil grew, occasionally even overstepping the boundaries of its rural pine barrens to haunt rural Pine Barrens haunt to terrorize local towns and cities. The most infamous of these incidents occurred during the week of January 16 through 23 in 1909. Early in the week, reports starting emerging from all across the Delaware Valley that strange tracks were being found in the snow. The mysterious footprints went over and under fences, through fields and backyards, and across the rooftops of houses. They were even reported in the large cities of Camden and Philadelphia. Panic immediately began to spread, and posses formed in more than one town. Fear and intrigue grew even greater when it was reported that bloodhounds refused to follow the unidentified creature's trail in
Well,
Hamilton, which is
weird.
weird. School closed or suffered low attendance throughout lower New Jersey and in Philly. Mills were forced to close in Pine Barrens when workers refused to leave their homes and travel through the woods to get to their jobs, which, like, yeah. Um, Eyewitnesses spotted the beast in Camden and in Bristol, Pennsylvania, and in both cities, police fired on it but did not manage to bring it down. A few
Wow.
days later, it reappeared in Camden, attacking a late night meeting of a social club and then flying away. Earlier that day, it had appeared in Haddon Heights, terrorizing a trolley car full of passengers before flying away. Wouldn't that be so fun to be a tourist and be like, is
Yeah.
this part of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Like, how is this place? Witnesses claimed that it looked like a large flying kangaroo.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
Not nice, not a
Can't
nice
picture
one.
that.
And another trolley car full of people saw it in Burlington when it scurried across the tracks in front of their car. In West Collingswood, it appeared on the roof of a house and was described as an ostrich-like creature. So it's like the descriptions are all very similar.
Hmm.
Firemen turned their hose on it, but it attacked them and then flew away. The
Hmm.
entire week, people reported that their livestock, particularly chickens, were being slaughtered,
Mm. Yep.
which is crazy.
Classic.
Yeah. Um, it reappeared later in the week in Camden, where a local woman found the beast attempting to eat her dog.
Oh
She hit
no.
it with a broomstick and it flew away. So it
Hmm.
didn't eat her dog, thankfully.
Okay, good.
There hasn't been another week as intense as the 1909 rampage, but there have been numerous other sightings. The tale of the devil has spread beyond the Pine Barrens and has been embraced by all of New Jersey, even to the point where it's been largely commercialized with the NHL team,
Mhm.
the Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Um, there are still many, however, who believe that it's a very real, very dangerous creature that's living in that forest.
Mm.
And there have been a constant stream of reports of encounters. So weird, strange tracks that they can't identify. That look like footprints of a strange bird. Others say they look more like hoof prints. It walks on just two legs. But there have been very detailed, like a substantial number of detailed reports about the tracks being like hooves, like cloven
Mm.
hooves. Um, there are still occasional reports of people who see more than just tracks and manage to get a glimpse of the Jersey Devil. He's most commonly described as having the body of a kangaroo, the head of a dog, the face of a horse, large leathery wings, antlers similar to those of a deer, a forked reptilian tail, and intimidating claws.
Hmm. That's very strange.
Oh, yeah.
What could that be? Like, if you weren't a believer in this
I
possible
don't
cryptid,
know.
what is that? What could that
I don't
be?
know. I really don't know. It's weird though.
Like a
And then there were
vulture?
a bunch of like, yeah, there were a bunch of like eyewitness accounts. But I'll just read one of them because there were like 15 or something. So this
Yeah.
one is Driving by the Devil in the Pale Moonlight by Mary Ritzer Christensen. This has haunted me since it happened in 1972. I was a senior at what was then Glassboro State College. I had heard about the Jersey Devil when I came to South Jersey, but being from North Jersey, a different world, she puts in parentheses, I thought I was far too sophisticated to believe in such humbuggery. One winter night, I was driving to Glassboro from Blackwood on Green Tree Road, which obviously I don't know where any of these things are. At the time, the road was flanked by orchards and farms. There were a few houses and there was hardly any development, so it's pretty empty. I was completely sober and awake when I caught a glimpse of something in my rearview mirror. Curious as to what it could have been, I slowed down to take a gander. It was dark out, but moonlit enough that I had no trouble at all discerning the upright figure of a creature crossing the road from one side to the other, roughly 25 feet behind my car. The figure stood taller than a man by far and had thick haunches, similar to a goat's, supporting its nearly human-looking torso and huge woolly head. It moved heavily and didn't seem at all disturbed by my being there. I didn't linger long enough to see much more. I hit the gas and flew to the Mansion Park apartments in the borough. So petrified, I was unable to sleep the rest of the night. But I was too scared to get out into the darkness that had introduced me to the Jersey Devil, so I stayed in my car all night.
Oh, wow.
Never again from that day have I ridden on Green Tree Road, day or night. And I even get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about that winter night so long ago.
Wow. Yikes.
Some creepy shit.
That feeling of being paralyzed in fears.
Oh my God.
I can't get out, but I can't stay
feeling.
here. That's so scary.
Yeah. And then I have just a few more like little quick ones. So New Mexico, the local legend there is La Mala Hora, which actually originated in Mexico, and it translates to the evil hour. But it's actually an entity, and it's thought that you do not want to run into it on a dark road. Legend says that at first it appears as a ball of black energy, constantly moving and changing its size and shape. If you look at it, it will drive you insane and slowly kill you. At other times, it appears as a scary-looking woman, and it's said that if you see her at a crossroads, you or someone in your family will die.
No. Yikes. No thanks.
Yeah. North Carolina, in the 1950s, there were multiple dogs found dead and drained of blood in North Carolina.
Dogs.
A town called, but drained of blood. Like, what?
Yeah.
In a town called Bladdenboro. People believed that there was a vampiric beast in the woods, and they tried to hunt the animal. Today, the town of Bladdenboro has embraced its history, and residents actually hold a beast fest every year. While some people are convinced that the beast was probably a particularly large bobcat, it's never been confirmed exactly what was stalking their town. The bobcat theory, sure, like could have attacked animals, but like a bobcat would kill an animal to eat it.
Yeah.
And it didn't eat it.
Right.
It just drained sucked its blood out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Can bobcats even do that? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, that's like the chupacabra sort of.
Yeah.
Which I read about that briefly, but I think everyone probably knows what that is at this point. But they have different versions of a chupacabra, like all over the world, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, then this sounds a lot like it.
Vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this one comes from Ohio. During the summer of 1972, the people of Defiance claimed they were being terrorized by a werewolf.
Wow.
The sightings always happened at night, generally by the train tracks. A couple of women said it would try to get into their houses by rattling the doorknobs. The animal was said to be huge, hairy, and dressed in rags, but after summer ended, the beast disappeared, never to be heard from again, but the story lingers. That makes me think it was like some creepy freaking person that was like trying to scare people or like hurt someone.
No.
Yeah. In South Dakota, purportedly over 7 feet tall and very slim, Walking Sam is said to appear on the streets of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation at night, and he tries to convince teenagers to take their own lives. It sounds a lot like a skinwalker to me.
Yeah.
The super tall, thin, and native, right? Like indigenous.
Yeah.
Whether or not Walking Sam is real, something very sad is going on at that reservation, though. From December 2014 to May 2015, there were 103 suicide attempts at Pine Ridge.
Wow. Yeah.
103.
Really
reservation populations usually aren't high. So it's like, that's a large ratio. Like, not
way
good.
Too many. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, back to Tennessee briefly. The Pine Haven School, located in Jamestown, Tennessee, is old and abandoned and said to be quite haunted. A tragic story took place there where a boy was cornered by a group of bullies in the bathroom who shoved him into a mirror, which shattered and subsequently killed him. So a
Whoa.
piece of glass must have
Yeah.
like severed an artery or something.
Ouch.
To avoid getting caught committing murder, the bullies decided to bury the body underneath the floorboards.
Mm, good idea.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Terrible.
Today, people say that if you go inside the school, you can see the reflection of the boy if you look in the mirror.
Hmm.
Sad
No.
and creepy.
Yeah.
Um, Texas in the early 1900s, there were children in a rural town in Texas that started to go missing, and the residents blamed it on the candy lady, which is
Oh,
horrible.
yeah.
The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windows, and
Hmm.
eventually she'd lure the kids out with notes attached promising more candy. The story
Okay.
picked up steam when a farmer allegedly found rotten teeth on his farm and
Ew.
later found the body of a boy with his pockets stuffed with candy.
Yikes.
While little is known about the origin of this story, some have speculated that the candy lady was real and that her name was Clara Crane. So I
Hmm.
didn't look more into her, but she was some sort of like serial psycho.
Yeah. Yikes.
Um, yeah. Utah, while it is illegal to take anything from the Escalante Petrified Forest State Park, there's a legend that says anyone who takes pieces of petrified wood from the park will be cursed with bad luck, sickness, and accidents. Parch, par, Park manager Kendall Farnsworth stated in 2014 that he gets about a dozen packages every year containing a piece of wood from the park and an apologetic letter detailing the sender's misfortune.
Yeah. Funny.
Yeah. And then the last one is in Wisconsin. The story of exactly what happened at Boy Scout Lane varies, but they all end with the same conclusion. A group of Boy Scouts dead on the road. In some stories, there was a bus crash with no survivors, or they were murdered by their bus driver, or they just mysteriously vanished into the woods one by one.
Hmm.
Visitors, however, have reported seeing a swinging body in the trees, feeling as though they are being watched and finding child-sized handprints.
Oh no. Yikes.
Creep City.
That's so creepy.
Creep City. So
Yeah.
that concludes local legends.
Yeah. Yeah, so many of those.
So many. And I skipped a bunch. Like I
Yeah.
found a bunch of others and
Same.
I was like, oh. Even ones we hadn't covered before. I was like, I just tried to pick the most interesting ones,
Yeah.
but
We could
yeah,
do
there's a lot of
another
like, yeah,
because
a lot of weird lore out there.
yeah, I looked at Reddit briefly and everyone
Mhm.
commented about how every town in Texas had like the chainsaw massacre
Oh,
house or
yeah.
whatever. Um, yeah, there
Oh,
could
that's
be a lot of
interesting.
others.
So many, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening. I have to run off to a concert now. Woohoo!
Yay.
Um, and thank you. But follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Girls Gone Spooky. You guys can email us at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. Also, tag us in your Halloween costumes we want to
Mhm.
see. Um, and yeah, that's it. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.